uh, thus far, you have basically been avoiding going back to court and clearing this up, but now you've made the decision to face the judge in Virginia Beach. What has changed with their demands? I know at first she was asking for $1 million, then it went down to $100,000. Now, is it still at $100,000? Is what they're demanding? Is that what the figure is now?
Looks like, well, it looks like about $130,000. Um, is what my ex-wife is asking for between her and her attorney. That's the math that they've worked up on their
I see.
little spreadsheet. And where that money comes from is they're saying that I didn't make every payment on time under the child support order, so
Right.
therefore it was actually a consent order. Therefore, that consent order is invalid, and we revert back to the prior order, which had a different dollar amount. So they're basically doing this based on the difference between the two orders and saying because I didn't make every single payment on time, the the order is no longer valid, and I owe the other amount now. Okay, and now realize this is like 7 years later.
Right.
Okay, my kids are 27 and 28, both have college degrees. They both have engineering degrees. They're self-sufficient, self-supporting. This is not child support. Yeah, this is money that my ex-wife thinks that she is entitled to. And they have a judge in a corrupt system where they've fabricated evidence and, to obtain a governor's warrant claiming that I was physically present in the Commonwealth of Virginia and committed these crimes of failure to pay support and that they were felonies. And that's how they obtained a governor's warrant. And these are misdemeanor charges. It's a misdemeanor charge in Virginia. But that misdemeanor charge doesn't even apply, Robert, because it only applies to the statute reads that any parent who willfully neglects his or her children under the age of 18 or 19 if they're in high school is guilty of non-payment of failure to pay child support. So the charges don't even apply. And then, as far as extradition and being a fugitive from justice, I'm not a fugitive from justice. I'm a fugitive from injustice. Okay? I'm a fugitive from corruption. And that's what I've been avoiding being extradited to. At the same time, I kind of realize there's no easy way to fix this. And I want to clear my good name, and I want my life back. This has cost me, the cost goes way beyond the financial at this point.
Um, so you now as far as I want to talk a little bit about these supposed late payments. I mean, how
Sure.
delinquent were you on your payments? I mean, there are times when you had employment problems and you were a bit late. They could not have amounted to much. Uh, I mean,
No, actually, it was significant. I think at one point my arrears balance was around the $30,000 mark on this. But my ex-wife and I had an agreement that I didn't have to pay because she called me and told me that the children were not attending college full time, and the stipulations were that they go to college full time and live at home. One of the kids dropped out of college in December after his first semester, halfway through his first semester in 2005. He dropped out of college and moved out of the house because they had an argument. And then the other one cut back to halftime. It took them 7 and 8 years, respectively, to get bachelor's degrees. Okay? And so that's not exactly full time. And I thought that, my ex-wife and I had an agreement and an understanding.
right. So you have you've got yourself a lawyer now, right?
I have counsel. He's the same attorney that I've had represent me in Virginia on 2 other occasions.
Okay. What are you hoping to accomplish by facing the court now? Are you going to what's the tack that you're going to take? And I don't volunteer too much information, but obviously you're in a very, very compromised situation legally, and it's very likely that you will go to jail. Tell us what are you hoping to accomplish by going to court?
Well, first of all, I'm hoping to not go to jail. I'm hoping to somebody somewhere comes to their senses and realizes that this is an abuse of power and an abuse of the system, and it's an abuse of the individual, and that my civil rights and my human rights are being violated by this process, and that the child support system needs to be reformed. We cannot have judges just doing what they feel like doing. There needs to be some stricter guidelines for how do we deal with family issues. This is not helping. The family court system is broken. It's not helping families. It's breaking fathers. That's what it's doing. And so I hope that we get some visibility to some of these issues. I'm hoping that I'll be able to clear my good name. I've enjoyed a phenomenal reputation as a software systems engineer. I've been fired 3 times this year because of being arrested in my home state, right? Or explaining to my attorney, to my manager and supervisor that I need a little time off because I've got some legal problems to deal with. And when I explained to them the nature of the problems, they would say, okay, take as much time as you need. And when I went to go back to work, they said, we don't need you anymore. Thank you. So this cost me 3 jobs. And, I usually have like a 6-figure job. I'm not rich or wealthy, but, I usually earn a pretty decent living. Now I'm at the point where I'm surviving on $300 a week, and I'm living in my car. And so I want to clear my good name. I want people to come to their senses. I would like for the population at large and the general public to be aware of how the perceived deadbeat dad is treated, even when they don't have children that apply. How the system is being abused and misapplied in order to suit people's personal goals and personal ambitions. They need some visibility. It needs to be fixed. And I don't see any other way to do that. And I can't continue living in truck stops and rest areas. It's just not going to work. I want my life back. I'm losing, my marriage is falling apart as a result of this. I'm losing everything. And so I have nothing left to lose and everything to gain. And that's kind of the perspective I'm taking, is somebody has to fight this, and somebody has to fight these people.
What's the prognosis? What's the outcome that's most likely here? Do you think that there's a good chance to go to jail? And if so, for how long?
Well, I've got a contempt of court charge. I've actually got it turns out there's a whole stack of charges and things in Virginia that I had no knowledge of. I mean, the last time they served me with process, right? Last time I received a summons was in July of 2006, and I showed up for a September or October hearing with my attorney, David Michael Good, in Virginia Beach. We were promptly non-suited, told they had no jurisdiction, and sent home. That was the last time I was served any notice. It turns out that there's been like 7 or 8 hearings where I've been charged with failure to pay support and found guilty, and charged with contempt, and charged with failure to appear, and I have no knowledge of most of this, and I have indirect knowledge of one other. Then, I've also been arrested 3 times on this now. Once in 2004, again in 2010, November, and most recently in March of this year in Seattle. And all of these arrest actions, have just blindsided me. I had absolutely no clue that there was even a problem. So they haven't exactly played fair with me. And I also contend that, they don't really have jurisdiction over me as an individual. I'm a resident of Washington State. I'm not a resident of the Commonwealth. And so the whole goal is, let's extradite these men so that we get physical custody over them and physical jurisdiction. And then we have what's called personal jurisdiction in the courts, and then we can do what we please. And so I think I've been told there's roughly 5,000 men and people in jail for this kind of thing.
At any given time, there's around, that's what people estimate, around 5,000 people in jail, 5,000 men in jail. At
any given time. And it's like, that's 5,000 guys who have children that they love, and that's 5,000 men who have jobs and possibly, second families, and brothers and sisters and mothers and daughters. And this is just wrong on so many different levels and in so many different directions. And I hope to be able to do something about it. I'll be the poster boy for the cause. That's what the cause needs. That's what it's going to take. As far as, sentencing, I'm hoping that the judge will see the light and realize all the mistakes that have been made in this case, all the mishandling, the misogyny. Actually, it's reverse misogyny. I can't remember what the other word is. Misandry, yes, yeah. Not misogyny. The misandry that's been going on in this case, just the mishandling of the case, the misandry involved, and the, inappropriate application of the law. And I'm hoping the judge will see that and be rational and reasonable and say, Mr. Patnude, you're right. We're done. The children are grown up. They're self-sufficient. The bill has been paid. And we should all be free to move about the cabin. That's what I'm hoping for. In reality, my attorney said no guarantees because you might go to jail, you might not. So I'm hoping that maybe a speedy trial and the judge would say, I'm going to make you serve 7 days or, something like that. Best case, it's dismissed and we straighten it all out. Worst case, I could spend a year in jail in Virginia.
Okay.
You had asked about the money as well.
Yeah.
The child support bill is paid off. I actually have no arrears and no child support. And I have no juvenile children who are eligible for support.
Right. So
I'm sorry?
The reason they're justifying this is basically over supposed delinquencies in the past, which you've already paid off. And so, have they been forthcoming with the way they conjured up this figure? Because the numbers changed. At first it was $1 million, now it's $130,000. It was $100,000 at one time.
Yeah, well, the $1 million, I figured it out. It's a psychological game that they play, right? If you fax a warrant out to Auburn, Washington from Virginia, say you got a really bad guy out there, he owes $1 million in child support.
Right.
You're going to get the cops' attention.
Right, gotcha.
They're going to have, the steroid junkies are going to have an emotional response, and they're going to send 6 guys out to your house like they did for me.
Wow.
Okay? They freaking sent the SWAT team out.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay? Because we know how to make it look bad. We know how to make him look bad.
Right.
And so they've become pretty adept and pretty well practiced at finessing and creating and producing a case. This thing's a production. It's been going on for 10 years. Right. It turns out my ex-wife's current filing, they have outlined every single thing that has been done or said, going back to our divorce, and so we're going back 19 years here. And they're putting that stuff in court as justification for why Greg owes more money. And truth is, she's greedy and has discovered a system that seems to go along with her design. And it's kind of working for her.
This is the same judge that's been handling your case the entire time that you're going to be facing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So she was.
Her name is.
Go ahead.
The judge is named Judge Deborah V. Bryan, Bryan,
mm-hmm.
And she's on her second term. My attorney believes her to be rational and reasonable. And I've appeared before her only 3 or 4 times, and that was back in 2004 and 2006. And I don't have a problem with the judge. But I'm not sure that I'm going to get fair treatment because some of the stuff I've seen, and the fact that I did request a judicial inquiry into the legality of this whole thing. And so I may have disturbed the judge. I don't know.
Okay, I think that's pretty much all of the questions I have for you right now.